My name is Licia Sky, and I teach meditation and movement and embodied self-awareness. I help people to pay attention to what's happening in their bodies. I help people to pay attention to things that we normally filter out. And I help us to know more about what's happening inside by paying attention to the things that we normally don't pay attention to. I use voice, I use touch, I use self-contact, I use paying attention to different parts of the body, I use movement, and I like to play.
The first thing that I would like to ask you is how you are dealing with and making the most of this experience.
How am I dealing with this? Well, I think that it kind of goes up and down day to day. Lately, I've been saying that I'm working really hard to stay informed and stay safe and stay sane. And I'm working really hard to help other people to stay well informed and stay safe and stay sane. There's such a discrepancy between being realistic and being able to keep track of everything that's going on and witness and discern what's useful information about how to be respectful and safe, and then feeling this amorphous danger all around us that we cannot see, that we cannot smell, that we cannot hear. I mean, those are all the things that our senses usually are primed to alert us to danger. And this is an invisible danger that's insidious, that it's everywhere. And the people that we love, that we would turn to for safety and connection, if we came in contact with them and they had been in contact with other people who weren't safe, the people we love would also be not safe, or we would be not safe to the people that we love. So it's really challenging. It's really challenging to stay aware, stay responsibly aware, responsibly safe, deal with our feelings of loneliness, deal with our feelings of terror, deal with our feelings of shame and embarrassment, and somehow stay connected to ourselves and connected to others. I actually think it's easier to have a connection to other people when you have a good connection with yourself. It's easier to be connected with other people when you can feel calm with yourself, when you can feel kind with yourself, when you can feel like you've heard yourself. How am I feeling right now? Well, oh gosh, my heart's beating a little faster than I expected. How am I feeling right now? Oh, I'm really tired. I've been reading the newspaper too much. How am I feeling right now? It's the checking in of knowing what you feel from moment to moment, knowing how you feel in the space that you're in from moment to moment. That has a lot to do with owning your reality. And we're in a situation where our reality is so surreal. It's so far outside the bounds of what we've been led to expect as normal. This is not normal for us. So being able to hold on to moment reality is very important. And part of staying sane while we take in all this information is knowing how we feel moment to moment and being able to tolerate what's uncomfortable, or being able to notice what might be comforting in the moment. So would it be okay if I lead you in a little orientation exercise that I find very useful, that I've led with friends and clients one-on-one?
Yes, absolutely. I would love that.
Okay. So one part of knowing where you are is seeing things, seeing the space that you're in. And there's this way that we can go through life and have like our blinders on. and we're purposeful and we're direct and we're busy and we race through the house. And, you know, there are times when your house could be super, super messy and you don't even see the mess. You just go to what you have to go to and you kind of filter out everything else. So now I'm going to offer you a moment of not filtering things out, of just fully seeing everything that there is to see right in the space that you're in right now. So I'm going to invite you to allow your eyes to wander. So if you're in a room, I would invite you to see where the ceiling meets the walls and see if you can't see all the way around you. And if you're in a car, you might see the top of the car and the texture of the fabric. If you're in a room, it's the texture of the ceiling, the light. How far behind you can you see on either side of you? What does it feel like to twist your neck and see what's around you? What happens to your chest and your spine and your torso? As you're looking around, I invite you to be curious the way a young child might be curious in a new space, or a cat might be curious in a new space. And as you're twisting, I invite you to notice what your shoulders do, and your body might be opening up just a little bit, just with this little bit of twisting. What do you notice that you like, or that's comforting or attractive? And what do you notice that might bother you a little bit, or might be something that you want to revisit and fix another time? And what kinds of feelings come up as you notice what you're noticing? Yeah. What does it feel like to land visually in the space that you're in? How much space do you have on either side of you? Maybe reach up and get a sense of how much space you have over your head. If you're sitting down, can you feel your feet on the ground? If you're in a chair, can you lean back and feel the support of the chair for a moment? What does it feel like to be right here? And what comes up when you notice I'm here? For me, the first thing that comes up is silence. There's a lot of silence in the world right now. And how does that silence feel around me in the space that I'm in? Do I feel safe here? Do I feel quiet inside? So my hands are on my heart, and I invite you to place your hands on your heart. And just notice what that contact feels like. What does this pressure feel like? Do you feel the texture of your clothing in your hand? Do you feel the pressure and warmth of your hand on your chest? And what happens to your breath? What happens to the rise and fall of your chest as you notice this contact in silence in this space that you're in right now? And I invite you to notice, what are you receiving from this contact? What does your chest feel like? Is it appreciating this contact? Is there something soothing or calming about this? Is there something uncomfortable about this? And I invite you to have the intention of allowing the kindness of your heart to flow from your hand into your heart. I invite you to allow your hand to give you kindness and comfort. And notice how your breath feels. Notice the rise and fall of your chest as you notice your hand on your chest. And I invite you to notice what you are able to receive from this person who is holding you. And I offer you the phrase, I'm with you. And notice how you are with the person you are holding and how you are with the person who is holding you. Just a couple more breaths. Notice what shifts. Notice your sense of time passing. And with the next breath in and out, I invite you to allow your hands to slowly float away from your body. And I invite you to notice the sensations that remain in your hands and in your chest. And notice how the space around you feels now. Notice how your thoughts and feelings land right now. Notice how the silence feels right now. How's that so far?
It's very good, Licia. Thank you so much for doing that with me.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me.
So I really wanted to talk to you about something about this that we had talked about yesterday when we spoke on the phone. Something about your voice in this and the role it plays in the connection that I feel with you.
Mm.
And I wonder if maybe you want to talk about, you had said the musicality of voice and the importance of that, but also just voice for connection in this setting is really powerful.
Right. So voice is a form of contact. And the muscles of our middle ear send signals directly into our brain. And our brain waves actually reflect the sounds that we hear. If you're listening to music, your brain waves will follow the waves of the music, and your EEG will look like the music that you're listening to. So the vibrations of our voice, all vibration travels better through solids than it does through air. And that's why if you're next to a speaker and it's blasting, you can feel the vibration of the sound as it goes through your body. And our voices also reflect the state of our own nervous systems. So when you're hearing my voice, you're hearing the voice of a person who is keeping her body calm. I'm in a calm state. I know how to focus and ground and center. So you're hearing my focus, my groundedness, my centeredness. If I were upset or tense or feeling like you couldn't hear me, or if I were feeling threatened in some way, my voice, my body might tense up. And if your body tenses up, your voice, becomes more constricted. The vocal folds are part of your body. So when you hear my voice and you hear it be relaxed, it's because my body is relaxed, and it helps your body to relax. You're registering, oh, she's feeling safe, she's feeling relaxed. If I tense my voice, and I'm so, little trigger warning here, I'm actually going to tense my voice. If I tense my voice, I have to tense the muscles of my body in order to make this sound. And when I make that sound, your body tenses up in response to that. It's recognizing the tension in my voice, and it translates into a physical sensation of tension in your body. When they say somebody has good vibes or bad vibes, that's kind of what they mean, that we vibrate ourselves. So a little experiment here is that you can place some fingers at the base of your throat. And I'm going to invite you to just say, ah. And as you do that, you can feel your throat vibrate. You can feel your chest vibrate. You can feel your fingers vibrate. There's something about holding while you vibrate. When I make that sound, my hand vibrates quite a lot. I can feel it in the base of my throat, but I can also feel it in my chest. Anywhere that you have bones in your body will vibrate, will resonate with the sounds that you make with your voice. So an opera singer can sing a high note and feel it from the top of their head all the way down to their knees and their toes. The vibrations travel through our skeleton. Sometimes when I'm leading meditations, I'll actually guide people to play with their voices and tone with me and notice what you feel. So if you rest your hand on the top of your head, just let it float on your hairline, so it's not a pushing down hard, it's really kind of just floating. And you can make an sound that tickles your lips a little bit, and that can go up into your head. And when I do that, I can feel the vibrations happening in the palm of my hand. It's very subtle, but it's something that you can really play with. And tickle your lips, tickle your throat, tickle your heart. Sometimes you can hold your belly and feel a vibration in your belly. And all those sounds give us emotional information about how safe we are or how in danger we are. The sounds of how relaxed a person is, who you're in the presence of. The more relaxed and calm a person is, the safer they are to be with. And there's something called motherese, where mothers speak to babies and they use a very musical way of talking. Adults who talk to babies generally bring more music into their voice. And they talk in a way that either invites the baby to engage with play or calms them down. If they're feeling bad, you do something that's a little slower and helps to regulate them. So our voice is a mechanism for social engagement and co-regulation. And even though I'm on a video screen and I'm far away from you, you can hear my voice, you can see my face, and I'm giving you cues of safety and cues that it's okay to calm down right where we are right now.
So that kind of brings me to, I have a question specific to healthcare workers right now. I have friends and family and have also read quotes from articles on the internet about healthcare workers who want to treat patients who are suspected or positive with COVID-19 with compassion.
Yes.
And because of either protective equipment, the need to get dressed before they enter the room, or frankly, because of fear, some of them are not able to provide the care that they wish they could. And I wonder if you have guidance about that. And certainly this voice piece of it seems to be part of that.
I'm so worried about people who are in isolation and silence without some kind of vocal or musical accompaniment. I understand that people are overwhelmed, staffs are overwhelmed, and it's hard to make close contact with people. But I think the vocal aspect of contact is very, very important. And it's really important with people who have respiratory systems that are so compromised that they cannot answer. And so the intention of what you put in your voice, even as a stressed person who's overworked, is really important. I wonder about having healing music in those environments. I wonder about making different options of soundscapes available for people. I'm not a big fan, actually, of synthetic music. But I know that people who sing live in hospital wards, in neonatal intensive care units, the outcomes are really, really good for people who have gentle music that's calming, that's slower, that's softer, that's a little more regulating. And it's really interesting how responsive people's bodies are to that. If it's live, it's different than if it's pre-recorded music. So even though your microphone is on mute, I can see you, and I'm regulating my voice to the rhythm of the movements that I see, your eye blinking, your head nodding, your smile that comes online gives me a cue for what the rhythm is that I should be speaking with. And doing this recording would be much more difficult if you were not here. So yeah, I don't know how a hospital could do that. With people not being allowed to be in close contact, it seems like telephone contact and video contact for people who are able to have it is extremely important. And the intention that people hold when they're having those conversations is extremely important. The people who are in those stressful situations also need to be replenished vocally, with movement, with rest. And that self-care piece I don't see that in the media as being part of what's happening for people who are on the front lines right now.
Sure. I mean, I have seen some, ideas to remedy, like you said, about video chatting for people who are being treated, but that doesn't solve the problem of being understaffed and these people who are just exhausted, working too many hours. So that's a tough question about how to meet their needs while meeting patients' needs when we're overtaxed.
Yeah. Well, this kind of self-contact stuff, I think even if you were weak, you might be able to place your hand on your heart. I know that even people who are in comas can hear voices. And a coma is like a dream state where a lot of information comes in, whether the person is able to respond to it or not. It really depends. But I think that speaking with a healing intention in your voice is a really important thing that people could learn.
So in the vein of that, body workers in general, I think, are uncertain of what to do with themselves right now. And I know that you personally have a lot of experience providing body work to your clients over
Right.
video chat. And I wonder if maybe you might have guidance, or if you might want to talk about what you've gleaned from your many years of doing this outside of a pandemic situation.
When I'm guiding people to do self-contact, there are many different ways to do it. I love hand on heart, hand on heart, hand on heart, hand on belly, hand behind the head and hand on heart. These are different poses that can give you different senses of support and different relations to your body depending on what part of your body you're holding. They can bring up lots of feelings that relate to your comfort or shame around your body. But then we also have our proprioceptive experience of our bodies. That's our bodies in space, and our sense of how close or far away we are from things. And I like to play with the sense of distance between our hands, distance between our hands and our bodies, play with the sensation of closeness that you can feel as you run your hand over your arms or over your head. And you might even in your mirror neurons get a sense of what that feels like as you watch me do this. I have a very strong sense of the space around my body from years and years of doing contact, doing energy work. But it's interesting how quickly other people can learn to be aware of those very subtle sensations. It might be as simple as waving your hand in the air and feeling the sensation of air against your skin as you move your hand back and forth, or feeling the sensation of air between your fingers as you move your fingers together and apart. So that heightened awareness can lead us to heightened awareness of our self-contact. It can lead us to a heightened sense of what feels good in the space that we're in, what feels comforting in the space that we're in, and give us a sense of how we can self-soothe in isolation or self-soothe and calm down if there are people around us who are aroused. There's co-regulation and self-regulation, but there's a way that you can co-regulate with yourself.
I wondered if you thought that there were advantages of using an app like Zoom or Google Hangouts over being in person.
It's very different in person. You know, there's some ways that one-on-one in person doing this kind of exercise can almost be like too much space. I find that one-on-one in person, the distance that we sit away from each other might be further because that's more comfortable for the person that I'm working with. There might be a lot more diversion of eyes, a lot less direct eye contact. Over the screen, there's a way that you have the safety of the room that you're in by yourself, and hopefully with privacy, with nobody else around, where it becomes more safe to watch and be close and be curious, even though the person is also being watched. So there's a lot more direct eye contact. There's a lot more what I would call precise listening, both ways. And it can be a little slower. And I really have to keep bringing the person back. I track their body pretty carefully. Are they breathing? Are they holding their breath? What's the color of their face like? How quickly or slowly are they speaking? Do they look tight? Can we play with our shoulders and get to a looser place? So there's a lot of very, very careful tracking and listening, co-listening. And then also processing whatever comes up when we're working one-on-one. I know that some people who've worked with me in person were afraid that it would not be as deep. And, you know, personal contact is such a powerful thing. It goes right to your core at a cellular level. And there are people who don't have those experiences in early childhood that let them know what it feels like to have a nervous system that's been comforted from a dangerous situation to safety, or comforted from distress to calm. And so to be able to convey that over a video is much more difficult. And yet, the people that I've worked with, even the ones who were really, really disappointed and afraid, are finding that it's much better than they expected it to be. And it's what we've got right now.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about synchronicity, or do you feel like it's in the same?
Synchronicity is about being linked up rhythmically. And everything in the universe has a rhythm to it. And mothers and babies have rhythms. The way I'm speaking right now has a rhythm. Ba 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 ba. And as I speak in this way, there's subtle little movements that we make together. We nod together. I might be speaking in the rhythm of your nodding, and that's a way of being in sync. I might be speaking in a way that I pause when I see you blink, or you might blink when I blink. There are subtle little things that happen that help us align together. There's an attachment researcher named Beatrice Beebe, and she has videos of mother-baby dyads where the mother's talking and the baby's kicking and nodding in the rhythm of the mother talking, and the mother's nodding, and it's the same rhythm that the baby's foot is going, and it's 30 frames per second, and you can see that ba 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 ba, they're in sync. And that's part of subtle social cues that we're not consciously aware of, that we can become more aware of when we slow down and move together in sync, or when we slow down and make sounds together in sync, or meditate and look around our spaces together and notice the silence together. That's a way of coming into sync. And that is a way of feeling met.
Certainly that seems incredibly valuable right now, to be able to notice those things and value them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to, I know we're running out of time here, but I wanted to talk to you about creativity and how it can ground us, accessing and owning our creativity. And I wonder what you have to say about that.
I think that for many people, they imagine that their creativity is something that they've grown out of or don't have time for anymore. And one thing about this time of confinement is that we have the privacy of our own spaces to make a little room to explore our creativity. It might be writing in a journal, it might be drawing, it might be taking pictures with your telephone and documenting your hair growing out every day, or whatever it is. But I think that in our starstruck culture, it's hard to not feel extremely private about our creativity unless we are part of the creative economic engine. There are many people who are very self-depreciating when they talk about their creative capacity, who are actually very creative. So finding the space and time to explore and rediscover the self-respect to make it possible to play creatively. Creativity really has to come from a sense of safety and play. A sense of safety to trust that it's okay to think outside the box and do things differently. Or think outside the box and just follow spontaneous impulses and desires. It has to be okay to want what you want, to like what you like, not like what you not like. That's part of creativity, is that self-knowledge and that self-permission. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to say about COVID-19 or what we're going through?
About COVID-19, I'm not an epidemiologist, but I am somebody who reads a lot. And I think that it's our responsibility to stay as informed as possible about what's happening in the world around us, and to live as safely as we possibly can, as a respect to ourselves and a respect to others. And it's really important to find a way to reconnect with ourselves in order to stay authentically connected with others when we're living in isolation. So I wish you all safety, curiosity, kindness, and stay informed and safe.